Health and Fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports. dssports.ie.
Hello and welcome to this week's programme. Let's have a look at what's coming up on the show. We're celebrating walking this week. Five-time Olympian, world champion and now one of the premier athletics voices on the airwaves, Rob Heffernan joins us to talk about the 2025 Steps Team Challenge. After that, Acquired Brain Injury Ireland's also celebrating walking with their Step Up Challenge. They're calling on people in the Midlands to get the steps in to raise funds and awareness for those in need. Their Midlands local service rep Carol Dillon is on with us. We celebrate the community games with their volunteer support officer Aisling Joyce, and Shane Keegan from Laois GA is on to talk about supporting the Amor County in 2025. Very glad to introduce a very special guest onto Health and Fitness this evening. Rob Heffernan joins us, a multi-time Olympian, a world champion, and he's here to tell us and to talk to us about the Forviz Mazars 2025 Steps Team Challenge. Rob, there's loads to like about this challenge. First and foremost, welcome to the programme. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
Look, you know full well that athletics can be very individual sometimes and it can be a lonely place. So the idea of team events in the first place probably appeals to you on one level. And this idea, I'll just give the basic outline of it, runs from the 20th of January through to the 16th of February. And it sees people taking on walking routes, or you can run them as well, an average of 10,000 steps a day, which is totally achievable for everyone. And there's a 4-province route and a 32 county route. This is a really inclusive event, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, and I think people need to take their head away from, you know, the idea of competition and pressure. This is really kind of, to reiterate, good lifestyle choices. And I think 10,000 steps is something that anybody can aim to achieve on a daily basis. And with this challenge, I think the benefits are it's starting at the end of January as opposed to a knee-jerk reaction with people with resolutions at the start of January. So you can sign up then. It carries through to February. And the habits you can build just getting out and moving and being mobile and active and doing it within a group of friends. You know, we won't call it a team, even though it can be competitive. It can be as competitive or non-competitive as you want it to be. But the element is fun and movement and, you know, bringing that into your daily life.
Yeah, if anyone wants to get involved, teams can register on the Forviz Mazars 2025 Steps Team Challenge website. Once registered, teams can download the challenge app, which connects to participants' phones or fitness devices to track their progress. So you can monitor your position relative to the virtual route, track your team's progress, of course, on leaderboards if indeed you do want to compete a bit, and you can see how close you are to finally getting over the line. But look, you've competed at the very highest level and at the pinnacle. When you were competing, Rob, I wonder, did you have the appreciation for the broader benefit of exercise and participation sport, or was it when you hung up the race walking runners that the penny dropped a bit more?
Yeah, that was a great question. No, I didn't. I had no appreciation. I had no appreciation for the person just going out and jogging and walking. My mindset, it's like I was a different person. And even though I'm going for a walk at the moment, listening to a podcast, so even though in my own daily life, I try to get out and run 5 days a week, but because my body's just used to that. But again, non-competitive, just to get out and move. And then most evenings, I just like getting out, go for a normal walk, throw on a podcast, and just get moving. And the benefits of it, David, like even mentally, I feel like I feel like a better person after, I'm a better husband, I'm a better dad to the kids, I have more energy. I just feel a lot more positive, and it's something that, you know, we'll all go through peaks and troughs throughout the year, but I'd be very passionate about just normalising getting out and walking, or do what you can do without, you know, judging anybody else or judging your level of fitness to somebody else's level of fitness. Because right now, if I had to compare myself to myself when I was competing, sure, you'd be depressed every day, like, you know. It's hard, like, but I do love getting out, and I think it's so important for people. And I think even this, I think the best thing when you're getting out and walking as well, like, if you can meet somebody, even when you're going for a run, you can meet somebody, you're going out for a chat, you're just shooting shooting the breeze, you're talking off the cuff, and you come back, it's nearly like a free therapy session, you know.
And as you touched on with the Steps Team Challenge, to contextualise it with friends and actually make it a social experience, and considering the kind of concept of the routes as well. I really like the idea that, you're going to see a lot of I find a lot of the time in this country, we take for granted the country we live in. You know, I imagine you guys have so much to kind of distract yourselves with and preoccupy yourself in Cork with. But beyond that, there's so much. And the same is on in the east, the west and the north, and obviously here in the Midlands. But it's a great idea for everyone to dip their toes elsewhere.
Absolutely, I was saying that. Like I think growing up in Cork, you don't think there's any other place outside of Cork without alienating myself here now on Midlands Radio. But the great crack when you're going around the country, you realise people are people everywhere, and every county and every place, there's unique things about them, whether it's their accents or their traditions or whatever's going on. And when you're doing following yourself on the app and you're moving into different counties, you can take yourself away on a mental journey, and you get a bit caught up in it as well. The minimum is kind of 10,000 steps a day, and you'll cover every county in Ireland or every province in Ireland, and then the 16,000 steps a day, you're going into every county. So there's a bit of fun to that as well, and you can have a bit of crack with your teammates and stuff as well, asking them where they are and etc. So it is, the element is all, it's fun and it's movement, it's a positive experience.
Yes, there's plenty of prizes to be won as well to keep everyone motivated, including giveaways, end of challenge rewards as well, and some proper ones like luxury overnight stays and that type of thing. So it does promise much. It holds plenty. Rob, since we have you on, I'm going to have to bring you back to the year 2000, the summer of the year 2000. I'm looking at the Tullamore Harriers Stadium records, the 3K walk and the 10K walk. Have you ever any memories of July and August in the Tullamore Harriers Stadium when you were racing?
I do indeed. I remember winning the national under-23 championships up there in 2000. I was racing week on week, but the race in Tullamore for us growing up, Tullamore was the mecca, even going through the gates there now, when I bring my kids up to compete, I get that sense of nerves and anticipation and all of the stuff I don't miss now when I can go and just go for a normal jog and a walk, whereas, Tullamore was big. Yeah, I do. I remember them races. I remember them well.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was talking to Rashida Adeleke after the Olympics, and obviously she's gone on to such mind-blowing achievements, but when I brought up the Tullamore Harriers Stadium to her, she just instantly said the same thing. I used to be so nervous coming down from Dublin to compete at the Harriers, because for juveniles and for young athletes, as you say, it's where it all happens and comes together, and especially for the likes of yourself and Rashida now, you guys can look back on those days as the days that put the building blocks into your successful international careers.
Absolutely, and Tullamore is built as well. It's built by great athletics people, and they've created that environment there, and it's really important. It's really important even with my own kids going up there, and the whole setting of it is really good. It's so well kept. The track up there is savage. And it's competitions like that and little stadiums like that. That's what puts you on the pathway to the bigger competitions when you go to Olympic Games and winning medals on the bigger stages. But looking back, them competitions can be more nerve-wracking than actually being at the Olympics, because it's all new when you're grown and you're young, and you don't know. It's the fear of the unknown. But and not only 2000, all of my school races up in Tullamore, I can remember them as if they were only yesterday, so it's a great spot.
Just to finish up our chat, let's bring things up to the present day, reflect on where things are at for Irish athletics and where they are at for yourself, because you're one of the voices on the airwaves that accompany us now through coverage of Olympics and World Championships and European Championships, alongside, funny enough, a few other Cork big names as well. It's remarkable that you guys have managed to lock out that studio.
Don't alienate me here now, Dave.
No, not at all. Honestly, it must be special to be in the panel or on the panel in the studio for this era of Irish athletics, because it really looks like something pretty great is cooking up.
David, I'd be driving home after the coverage of the Olympics, and I'd ring my manager, Derry McVeigh, and I would go, this is incredible. Like, you know, I absolutely love sport. I love all sport, but athletics is my favourite sport. And to be live on TV, getting a free pass without being dragged left and right and centre by your wife to bring the kids to athletics or gymnastics or football, to be able to totally concentrate and just watching the athletics, get paid for it, and to be able to talk about something you love, it's such a huge privilege to me, and it's something that I would do for free, and that's how much I love it. I think we're in a really, really good space. I set up an athletics club in Cork 2 years ago, Cork City AC, and the bumps from the Olympic Games, the amount of success that we've had with the kids at the moment is phenomenal. And I think the best thing about athletics as well, like when you look at all of the other sports and we're looking for inclusivity with males and females, that's always been there with athletics, I think. You know, it's a very equal sport with the males and females, and I think the role models that we have now with the females doing so well internationally, and now it's so visible with social media, it's going to drive massive success from the next generation. And I'm seeing this on the ground all of the time in Cork. The amount of success that we have with our young girls at the moment, 11 and 12 in Cork City, winning national relay titles, sprint titles, doing really well in the cross country, and it's the boys who have to follow now. So it's a very exciting time, and I think the more athletics that we have on TV, it's a sport that anybody can do. I think it's the only sport where you can go, I'm going to Valencia at the weekend for a race and coaching a 10k runner, and you can have, you know, a Joe Blogger from Tullamore lining up against the world record holder in Valencia. You know, so it's accessible to everybody, and you still go through them similar experiences at whatever level you're at, and you can relate to the sport, which is great. And, you know, the more we have of it, the more publicity athletics get. It's such a healthy option for kids as well, regardless if they go on to be competitive athletes or whether they go on to do walking challenges with Mazars. It just has such a massive impact in society as a whole.
Yeah, a great point actually to finish up on is that it does have that kind of equal level playing field by its own definition rather than just in recent years. Final question, Rob, before I let you go, is in relation to 2025, obviously we might be hoping that Rashida could get a world level medal in the 400, but give us maybe one athlete that you're most excited about. It could be at any level, but something that you're very excited about or someone you're very excited about this year.
I think, like, obviously Rashida, hopefully she's going to grow from her Olympic experience and come back stronger because she's young enough to be stronger. She's the obvious choice. I think Charlene Maulsley, she's after taking the decision to go into a really, really competitive group, and she's after putting the time frame in her career that she's going to keep it going until the LA Olympics. She could be really good. And you know what? I'd love to see an Irish. We have such a brilliant tradition in middle distance running here. Brian Fay's gone to Australia to train. He's run 13:01 for 5K, which is phenomenal running. And I'd love to see him get it right and perform at his best level on the global stage and make a world final. And, you know, for an Irish athlete to make a world 5,000 metre final would be massive. So, yeah, I'd love to see the lads get back in there again and, you know, give the distance running a bit of representation.
Yeah, it would be class. Look, Rob, you've been great with your time. For anyone listening who's interested in the 4Viz Mazars 2025 Team Steps Challenge, you can go to 4vizmazars.com/IE/steps. Rob Heffernan, you're a legend. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Dave. Lovely chatting to you. Thanks, bye.
Brain injury can happen to anyone at any time, and every survivor deserves the opportunity to rebuild their life. That's the message from Acquired Brain Injury Ireland. The charity is asking people to step up by raising vital funds to help the recovery and rehabilitation of people living with brain injuries. They're with us next.
Health and fitness.
With DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports at 085 871 5311 or info@dssports.ie. DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Your success, our priority. Let's grow together.
Midlands 103.
Step up for Brain Injury. That is the hashtag, and it is the name of the campaign being run by Acquired Brain Injury Ireland. Approximately 120,000 people in this country are living with a disability as a result of an acquired brain injury. In support of these individuals, the ABI, Acquired Brain Injury Ireland, is challenging you to step up and take 120,000 steps during January 2025. I'm very glad to say that on Health and Fitness this evening, Carol Dillon, the ABI Local Services Manager for the Midlands, joins us on the programme. Carol, thanks very much for taking our call.
Thank you, David.
So, step up for survivors of brain injury, 120,000 steps over the course of January. Very well timed, of course. I think we all need a few steps after Christmas. Tell us the value behind this campaign, what is ABI hoping to get out of it, and what, in your experience, does the campaign do for Acquired Brain Injury Ireland?
Exactly as you said, 120,000 people in Ireland are living with a disability after brain injury. Now, I suppose to clarify, an acquired brain injury is as a result, it's not from birth, so it can be as a result of a stroke, a road traffic accident, assault, a fall, or a brain tumour. I suppose by asking people to get involved in this challenge, we're raising awareness, number one, and we are trying to raise funds for Acquired Brain Injury Ireland. We support over 13,000 people per year who suffer with a brain injury. And interestingly, 19,000 people suffer from a brain injury every year. And in fact, that is 52 people per day that suffer with a brain injury. And as you can appreciate, David, it is life-altering for both the person who has the brain injury and their family and friends. So Acquired Brain Injury, our focus is to help these people and their family rebuild their lives and independence after a brain injury, and empower the brain injury survivors to live life to their full potential.
Okay, that's really great information you've given us there, and it gives us the context of how prevalent acquired brain injuries are in this country. And the other side of this, of course, which you've alluded to, is how fundamentally an acquired brain injury can affect your life, and therefore the extent of the support that's needed goes far above and beyond many other injuries when it comes to rehabilitation, living with any sort of chronic injury going forward. An acquired brain injury requires, I suppose, it's hard to fathom the amount of support, be it personal and, of course, medical, or as ABI are there as well to help. But the support needed, it really is huge.
It is, David, and the fact is we always have to fundraise in Acquired Brain Injury Ireland. Our core funders are the HSE, but that is for essential services. But for us to be able to run our clubhouses, and just to give you a little bit of an idea about the clubhouses, these are community groups, and it involves peer-to-peer support for brain injury survivors to come together, cognitive rehabilitation. So these are vital community groups which we run throughout the country, and we need to continue to fundraise to be able for those groups to run. Another instance, it could be that we would need to fundraise for a service vehicle for some of our services. Some of our services are in remote areas. We have a residential service in Mount Bolas, and as you can appreciate, we would need service vehicles to be able for the residents to be able to get into medical appointments or personal shops. So fundraising is so vital for Acquired Brain Injury Ireland, for us to be best placed to be able to support brain injury survivors and their families.
Tell us, how important is peer-to-peer support when it comes to people with acquired brain injuries? I imagine that sense of understanding, and therefore a trust grows from that knowledge that the person you're talking to has that understanding. Peer-to-peer support must be a big element of what ABI look to develop and to bring to their service.
Sure, peer-to-peer support is vital because the brain injury survivor, they realise that they're not alone. There are other people that have a brain injury, and by default then these people understand what each and every person with a brain injury is going through, and they support each other. And the facilitators of these groups, they're experts in brain injury in terms of being able to provide cognitive rehabilitation. We would have a full clinical team that would work with our services, which would consist of psychology, occupational therapists, social workers, speech and language therapists, and case managers. And their involvement and oversight gives us and the full team the necessary tools to be able to support the individuals who attend our groups. That's why these community groups are so vital, and the need for us in acquired brain injury to continue to fundraise as a result. Hence the reason that we're running the Step Up for Brain Injury with the Step Up 120,000 Step Challenge.
You've mentioned, Carol, the 120,000 steps there, and want to pick you up on that. First thing to ask is, have you been doing this yourself?
Yes, I have started it myself, and I'm doing it. I have 3 children and a husband, and we're all doing it. And
fantastic.
The beauty of it, David, is that it's so accessible. It can be done anywhere. It can be done in your house, outside your house, around your house. It can be done in work, in school, in college. It might be a matter of taking the stairs instead of the lift when you're in a shopping centre. It's just... It's so easy to do it. That's why I suppose it would be lovely to see so many people taking part, because it's something that we do every day, and it's just a matter of counting the steps and registering to do the challenge.
Yeah, well, look, if anyone listening thinks that they'd like to get involved, it's obviously not too late. We've just gone past the first week of January, and I've done some pretty amateur maths, but I figured out that they would just have to do slightly over 40,000 steps a week for the last 3 weeks of January to hit the 120,000. And ultimately, look, it's rather fitting as well that this fundraiser is based around a physical activity, because when it comes to acquired brain injuries, or indeed our general brain health, exercise is a really important aspect.
Without a doubt, exercise research has proven that exercise is good for brain health, and I suppose we're helping by taking on this challenge. We're helping the most vulnerable in society, but equally, it's impacting our own good brain health by taking on this challenge.
Yeah. So look. Hopefully as many people as possible can get involved. If they want to register, we'll give you these details again at the end of our chat. But if you visit the ABII Ireland.ie website, so that's ABI Ireland.ie, events Step Up 2025. Carol, you're the services manager for Acquired Brain Injuries Ireland here in the Midlands. How did you end up in the role, or how did your association with the Acquired Brain Injury Ireland group begin?
I started in the role in late 2021, so I've been just over 3 years as local services manager. So just to give you a little bit of insight, we have a residential service in Mount Bolus, as I mentioned, and then we support home and community clients in Laois, Offaly, Longford and Westmeath. So yes, it's a very busy role, but I would absolutely have to say so fulfilling. I'm very humbled to be part of somebody's rehabilitation journey. We would have people that would come to us, either they would come into our residential service, or we would support them in the home or the community, and they're at their most vulnerable, and we would have a team team of rehabilitation assistants who would work with them on memory and attention, because you've got to understand, David, following a brain injury, memory is impacted and somebody's attention skill, their personality, their emotions and behaviours can change. There's physical changes, their communication skills, these can all change. So our highly skilled team of rehabilitation assistants with oversight and involvement from our clinical team would work very hard with the person. The person is at the centre of everything that we do. So when a person comes to us, becomes a client, we would all sit down and we would create an individual rehabilitation plan. And what this is goals are identified and a plan for the person to achieve these goals. And the team work very hard with the person to help him or her achieve their goals. We're all about the rehabilitation. We're a very person-centred service. So the client is at the heart of everything that we do. But above all, it's a privilege to be part of that rehabilitation journey. And people are just so grateful. And it's not about that, but they're at their most vulnerable. So to be able to see improvements on a daily basis from a team perspective, I suppose there are no words for that. It's lovely to see when people come into us in our residential service in Mount Bolus, that they come in for a year or two, intensive rehabilitation is done, and then they transition home. It's just amazing to see it, David.
You never know what's around the corner in your life, and it's only often when these things come into our lives that we then engage with them. But the opportunity is there. Step Up 2025, still plenty time left in January to hit those 120,000 steps to support the approximate 120,000 people living in this country with a disability as a result of an acquired brain injury. You've been listening to Carol Dillon, who's the ABI Ireland Local Services Manager for the Midlands. Carol, thanks so much for joining us on Health and Fitness this evening.
Thank you very much, David. I was delighted to be here. Thank you.
We're celebrating the Community Games next, and if you want to join the movement, stay tuned.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports at 085 871 5311 or info@dsports.ie. DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Your success, our priority. Let's grow together.
Midlands 103.
Next on Health and Fitness, we're talking about the Community Games. Cairn Community Games, founded in 1967 as an independent voluntary organisation operating in communities across the Midlands and throughout Ireland. As an extension, Laois Community Games are putting a shout out looking for volunteers. They have an information session which we'll be chatting about on the programme this evening. To give us more information, background and knowledge regarding Community Games, I'm very glad to say that their volunteer support officer and Women in Sport lead, Aisling Joyce, joins us on the programme this evening. Aisling, thanks so much for taking our call.
Hi David, thanks really for having me. I'm really excited to share about what Cairn Community Games is, and I suppose the key event that is coming up in Laois.
Yeah, it's going to be a familiar name, I think, the Community Games, Cairn Community Games, to a lot of listeners, but run us through exactly what goes on with them.
Yeah, I suppose Cairn Community Games would be a household name, we'd like to think anyway, and I suppose a lot of people's sporting and cultural journeys have actually started there. With Cairn Community Games, we've had some famous participants, the likes of Colin Farrell, Saoirse Ronan, Paul O'Connell, Sophie Becker and Shirley Mosley, who were just in the Olympics. So I suppose we are a registered charity and a national governing body that provides participation in sports and cultural activities for kids from 6 to 16. We're all about encouraging healthy lifestyles for young people and, inclusion. A keynote, I suppose, is we are volunteer-led and we do offer a wide range of activities with over 50 categories. We definitely offer something for everyone, from soccer to singing, art. It's definitely a wide range. So if people are interested in getting involved, it's definitely something that I would vastly encourage. And I suppose a key thing to note is Cairn is our title sponsor, and we are heading into our second year of a 4-year deal. And a key thing that they actually want us and they're keen to do is increase our participation by 10% across the 4 years. So last year, over 160,000 children took part in the game.
Wow.
Across area level, which is huge. You know, I think that's something that's it's key for us, and obviously we want to continue to grow that. And then I suppose 9,000 kids competed at, say, our national events. So we do have All-Irelands and stuff like that, but I suppose the key thing for us is definitely participation. And then we do have about 10,000 volunteers across over 420 areas. So we definitely cover a lot of Ireland. And then just, I suppose, the keynote there is Bus Éireann and TFI would be our official travel sponsors. And we partner with Fit Foods for our official food partner. And if people keep an eye on the papers, so in particular the Irish Daily Mail, after all of our national events, they produce a supplement with the full list of participants, photos, news about the events and stuff like that. So I suppose that's a little bit about it. I could probably talk all day about it, but
Aisling, the background you gave us there is great, and it reminds us of the unbelievable reach and penetration that the community games has for young people. Like the infrastructure that's there in place as things stand for Cairn Community Games going forward, it does mean that there's very few institutions in the country that can actually affect and help the welfare of young people in this country as much.
Definitely, and the great thing about Cairn Community Games is that we offer something for everyone. So if you aren't a sporty kid, that's absolutely fine. You know, you can compete in art, singing. I see the talent that, you know, at our national events in Carlow does be, because we have them individuals typically in Carlow. So like the talent there is phenomenal. Like it's out of this world. So it's definitely, we try and cater for every kid. It is about being in the community. It's not just, you know, if you're a sporty kid, it's definitely, we try and create wide reach and inclusion for everyone, because it is the kids in the community are the community, and obviously the parents as well. So we try and include everyone.
Do you know, I think one of the great virtues of things like the GAA movement is that it does foster that sense of community. But as you've just outlined there, the GAA is ultimately one sporting monolith, whereas the community games accepts, includes and offers a space for all the interests that children might have, and that social element when your brain is developing from 6 to 16, such a key part of growing up and ultimately improving the welfare of our communities as well as those who are in them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the key thing. It's like we partner, we work with an awful lot of the other NGBs, you know, be it sporting or cultural. It's kind of, if we work closely with the LSPs as well, it's just kind of, it's about all working together, I think, to create a safe environment for kids, because I think that's ultimately what all of our goals are. So I suppose our reach is kind of, we kind of cater for an awful lot of events and stuff, but it's to include and work with other, you know, create partnerships and stuff with other organisations like Athletics Ireland, do you know what I mean? And organisations like that.
Laois Community Games is looking for volunteers to help continue their tradition of having a long-standing presence in the Amore County with the Cairn Community Games. The information session, do you want to give us the details there of if anyone wants to come and learn a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an information session on the 16th of January in the Malden Hotel in Portlaoise. It's at 7:30 in the evening, so everyone should be finished work. We try to pick kind of an easy time for everyone to be able to attend and stuff like that. So it is open to the public. Anyone is welcome to come, whether you're interested in you know, participating or, you know, volunteering. It's definitely, we love to see people there. It's just to kind of, if they have any questions, there's queries, questions or anything like that, they're more than welcome to come.
Okay, good stuff. How did you get involved? Because, you know, your role, that's really interesting. Aside from being a support officer for volunteers, you're the Women in Sport lead. How did that stuff come about from your own perspective? Yeah,
I suppose I feel like I've been there for forever now at this stage, but I competed in community games myself as a kid for years. I remember, you know, trying to get to Mosney was the big job. That everyone remembers Mosney nearly.
Yeah.
For years I competed in community games, and then the job actually just came up. I applied for it. I come from a massive sporting background myself. I'm heavily involved in athletics. I coach more so now than I would participate myself. But so I suppose for me, I've always had a keen interest in working with the community and getting involved. And I think it was just like, it was a perfect fit for me. I saw the job come up. I applied for it, and I just think it's really, really important to create a safe environment for kids, and I think Community Game does that. Cairn Community Games does that in a really healthy way. And then I suppose the women in sports was kind of a natural fit for me, I suppose, because I would be so active and I coach a lot, so it's just kind of it was a great fit for me, in fairness.
Yeah, it sounds like as well you've lived the dividend and the benefit of growing up through sport, and if we can get more young women involved and staying in sport, as Cairn Community Games underlines over the course of its history, the value is there to be seen. For anyone who wants to know more about the Laois Community Games, 16th of January at 7:30 at the Maldron Hotel in Portlaoise. If you're shy of an air code, it's R32 HKN3. Yeah, loads to say for it in terms of positivity. We really thank you, Aisling Joyce, for taking the time to talk to us on health and fitness, and the best of luck with everything Cairn Community Games focused going forward.
Super, thanks a million, David, really appreciate it.
The key to success in senior inter-county GA is the strength of each county's respective youth systems. Beyond that, though, Gaelic Games at youth level is about participation. Laois GA's Head of Coaching and Games, Shane Keegan, is on next to tell us how things are progressing in the O'Moore County.
Health and fitness.
With DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports at 085 871 5311 or info@dssports.ie. DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Your success, our priority. Let's grow together.
Midlands 103.
A new inter-county season is on the way. We have to wait a little bit longer as some of the pre-season competitions have been knocked on the head, and a lot of the pre-season charity matches and so on knocked on the head at the moment due to the inhospitable weather. And we are, however, bringing Laois GA into the focus here on health and fitness this evening. I'm very glad to say I'm joined this evening by Shane Keegan, Head of Coaching and Games with Laois GA. Shane, today we're talking about Laois Gaels and essentially what the whole Laois Gaels movement does for Gaelic Games across the O'Moore County. And I think anyone who is even a casual GA fan in the Midlands and has gone to a game over the last few years will at least have noticed plenty of those beanies. The hats are always sticking out anyway. Laois Gaels, certainly it's a big element of what goes on in Laois.
It is, David, yeah, and like you say, hard to avoid the woolly hats, which is a great sign of how successful it's been in the last few years, I suppose. Credit to those that have been driving Laois Gaels: Brian Breen, Una Marr, Niamh Delaney, Colin Begley, Brian Ramsbottom. There's been quite a few guys involved with driving it over the last few years. But to be honest with you, there's so much to it. It was probably unsustainable from a volunteer perspective. So we're going about it slightly differently this year. We're kind of bringing it in-house here. As most people are probably aware, all of the money raised through Laois Gaels goes directly into our academy squads and into the player development. So it probably makes sense for us in the coaching and games department to actually take it on board and run it. We're full-time staff. We've got the hours there to try and kick it on and drive it forward. So that's, I suppose, a slight change in how we're going about it. And look, well, I hope, if anything, it certainly shouldn't dip from what it was in previous years. I'd be hoping it'll grow even stronger and even better. We've got a fantastic new membership pack that we pulled together, as you say, a new beanie hat, new style, new version this year. I think it looks very well. The reaction to it so far has been excellent. The bumper car stickers will remain part of it. They've always been very, very popular. And we've added in a really nice design on a Laois keyring. And we've got some wristbands for the kids. And then we've added in a couple of things, David, like draws to win a signed Laois jersey, draws to be win an opportunity to be mascot for the day, different stuff like that we hope will enthuse people. So I suppose one of the reasons for joining is the likes of the membership pack and the good stuff that comes with it. But I suppose more importantly, it's knowing where that money goes and how useful it'll be in terms of trying to help the Laois GA players of the future. And
that is the key point, Shane. If we're talking about the betterment of Laois GA, it starts with the underage games. It starts with developing players and giving players a real positive association with playing in the county, and ultimately it may be playing for the county, but before all that, the getting to players at the grassroots level and supporting them in the right way is ultimately what the successful counties are best at.
That's it, David. Yeah. And look, what we're trying to do in here, I suppose, and it's not easy done, but we're doing our best with it, is trying to implement best practice right across the board. There's so many different aspects that feed into performance these days. the obvious ones, I suppose, being the training standards of what the players are doing on the pitch and their athletic development and that. But it's become so science-based now. You've got, there's so much around the area of sports science, performance analysis, nutrition, psychology, all of that kind of stuff. And then even outside of that, the extra layer on top of that around kind of education, I suppose, David, has become a big part of it. Educational workshops, in terms of, we've ran educational workshops for the players in terms of substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, gambling, different things like that. We've ran exam support for them, where we put on free tutoring sessions, free grinds and all of that kind of stuff coming up to exam time. And then a big one that we're going after this year, we're actually holding a workshop on Saturday week, is offering advice and support to parents. Arguably one of the biggest determinants in whether a player fulfills their potential, whatever that potential may be, one of the biggest determinants is parental support and what they're hearing at home, I suppose, and what they're hearing on the car journeys to and from matches. So we've got, you might know Anya McNamara. She's obviously an expert in the area of talent development. Anya's going to come in and address all of the parents on Saturday week around how they can play their role to their best of their ability. So look, we're trying to do an awful lot, and obviously, David, all of this kind of stuff comes with costs. And look, while County Board are fantastic at meeting all of the main costs around food and travel and gear and all of that kind of things, these kind of extras that I'm speaking about here probably fall outside the normal budget, and that's where the money that comes in through Laois Scales is massively helpful to us.
Yeah, and as you outlined at the start of our conversation, it's an opportunity for Laois GAA fans to demonstrate that support. And as you said, there's clear pathway in terms of their investment towards ultimately what they are supporting. As you laid it out there, Shane, it strikes me in your role heading up the coaching and games aspect of Laois GAA, there's all these opportunities for players to learn, for parents to learn, for coaches to learn. But from your perspective, you must be learning yourself along the way as well, in terms of the obligation you have to be bringing all of these new facets forward, to be able to present them to the concerned constituencies. You'll have had to figure it out yourself as well.
Oh, very, very much so, I can tell you. I suppose about 18 months in the job now at this stage, David, and it has very much been a learning curve, that's for sure. But no, definitely feel in a better place now. You're starting to understand who all the key stakeholders at the different clubs are. There's some fantastic people around the clubs around the county who've been brilliant to engage. The phone is constantly ringing, and that's what you want. And I suppose, that'll be one thing I'd be throwing out there as well, is the one thing maybe that grates with me a little bit is people who will say, well, why didn't Laois try and do this, or why didn't the county board do this, or why have they done it this way? Anybody who's got any ideas on any facet that they think could be done differently or improved or done slightly better, or something that could help their club, rather than saying, well, why didn't they, pick up the phone, give me a call, let me know what your thoughts are, let me know what you're thinking, let me know of any good ideas that you have that could help move things in the right direction. I can't guarantee that make them come to fruition every time, but at least if I know about those ideas, I can look at them and see, are they viable, and are there areas that we could make improvements? So definitely, encouraging people to help me get better at the job by chatting with me and giving me their ideas as much as possible as well.
Tell us about the idea behind talking to the parents. As you said, they have a major impact on players' welfare, their confidence, their relationship with the game, and everything else besides. How did it come about that you guys have brought this programme forward?
Yeah, I suppose, it's a well-known kind of way of looking at the makeup of a player, David, is to split it into the four sides of technical, tactical, physical and mental. And I think we've made a lot of strides, and we're not perfect, far from it, but we have definitely made strides in the areas of technical, tactical, and probably most recently we've made big strides in the area of physical. But I think mental is probably the one that we maybe haven't addressed yet to the level that I'd like to see it done. And it's as important, if not more important than any of the others. Keywords, or I suppose key traits like resilience, being able to deal with setbacks, being able to deal with when you're picked or not picked, whether you're injured, whether you've won a game, whether you've lost a game, all of those kinds of things. I'm sure everybody can name off numerous players who you can say, geez, if you had seen him at 16, he was absolutely outstanding. I thought he was he was destined to be a huge player for Laois in the coming years. But, for whatever reason, he trailed off and he never quite fulfilled that potential. And, that's the story that we're trying to get rid of, I suppose. And I think kind of chatting to parents about how they can best help their child be equipped to deal with all the things that get thrown at them as a young, talented player. I think that could be, for all the work that our coaches do, for all the work that we'll try and do in here, the effect that we would have on a kid is minuscule compared to the effect, obviously, that their own parents have on them. They're the ones around them 24/7, and they're the ones that are, without a doubt, going to have the most impact on whether they go on and fulfill their potential or not. So I think trying to arm them with the tools that can best help their kids, I think, is a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, and I think we've all been to GAA matches, underage games, where sometimes parents can end up becoming the antagonists on the touchline and this type of thing. I imagine for as long as you've been involved in GAA, it's something that you've been working to kind of counter, essentially, because I think sometimes parents don't realise just how much they're held up as role models by not only their own children but their children's teammates.
Absolutely, yeah. And listen, it's a fine line at times, David, between offering support to your kids or your team, and we all want to do that and be as vocal as possible. But knowing where that line is between support and, I suppose, maybe over aggressive behaviour is very, very important. And it's trying to walk the right side of that line. But look, I don't think there hasn't been very many issues certainly in Laois in the last few years on that side of things. So I'd like to think that's not a major problem. Certainly the standards in terms of the coaches, I suppose there's a huge amount of coach education gone on over the last 5 years or more, and I think coaches are now becoming a lot more kind of aware of the supportive nature of their role. And I think definitely the message is landing in terms of, particularly with those youngest age groups, taking a step back from the competitive nature of things. I mean, who in the right mind is going to remember how an under-9 game went in 4 or 5 years' time? It is far more about making sure that the kids themselves are having an enjoyable experience than you being able to go down to the pub on a Saturday night and saying that you beat the neighbouring parish in an under-9 football match. But I think that message is definitely getting through with our coaches. I think they've been very good. The whole Go Games thing for us last year was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, it sounded really positive, actually. Just to wrap up then, Shane, Laois Gaels, how do people get involved if they do want to support and they do want to access that new package with all the bits and pieces in it? What do they do?
Yeah, so we're blitzing it on our social media certainly at the moment, across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of the Laois GAA sites there. David, people can log on to there, or they can go direct onto the website themselves, which is just laoisgaels.com. All of the details are on there. There's some nice pictures of the membership pack and the various different bits and pieces on it. There's a tab up at the top to become a member. You'll see there's 4 different packages there. An individual member, a junior member, a family member and a business member. We really only pushed it yesterday, and the take up on it yesterday was absolutely fantastic. Really, really couldn't believe how good it was. So hoping to build on that. I know some people probably, a lot of us got paid, those of us getting paid by the month, a lot of us got paid in mid-December, David, so might be holding on to the few pound that we have until the end of January. But with the league games coming thick and fast at the end of January, beginning of February, maybe when people hit payday towards the end of the month, they might see it as a good opportunity to log on and become a member then at that stage, if they could think of us then, I suppose. Yeah, a treat for fans and therefore ultimately a treat for Gaelic games in Laois. Shane, the best of luck with 2025. We'll catch up with you down the line. Brilliant, David. Thank you. That is another week of health and fitness in the books. Thanks for spending the last hour with me. Joe Cooney's bringing you the best in Irish and American country music next, and I'll talk to you soon.